Hello and welcome to the 16th and possibly last episode of ScrollsTalks. This is a bit of a sad episode, but it's also a little bit happy because we've gotten so many people from the community coming together and expressing just how much they like the game and how much they want it to continue. And it's all sorts of positive views and feelings and comments that we didn't hear as much up until this announcement. So we got a lot to discuss today, and I have with me, and I see some people are hearing double voice. Let me have a look. If you guys are hearing double voice, let me know. But I have with me here three good people, three really nice scrollgers. We have NRP from the Badger Guild. Welcome onto the show, NRP.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here.
We have Billy from the Rats and Bunnies? Yes, it's Rats and Bunnies. I keep forgetting if it's Nogs in there or not.
Been out for 2 years. The
Yeah.
Been around for a while, Squiddy.
Yeah, I know. That's my fault. And we have Nananas with us from the Strategic Angels. Welcome onto the show.
Hello, guys.
So we're just gonna go ahead and dive into the whole Echoes release. Because, in my opinion, I think it was a pretty cool expansion. We had 60 new scrolls added to the game. Custom games were added as well, which is a super cool feature. You don't see many TCGs or CCGs with that feature. And they also added replays. So let's start ahead with you, Nananas. What are your overall thoughts on the whole Echoes expansion?
Well, of course, new cards is always cool and stuff. And yeah, there are some interesting scrolls in here, like all the automatons and stuff, how they synergize with each other. And then you have favorites, one of my favorite scrolls, hint hint. And yeah.
And you've had a lot of playtime with the whole Echoes set, I presume.
Yes.
Have you
played decks like Gojos and automatons, Order, I've tried all sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I've played around with it a bit, but I haven't got a good sense of the whole meta yet. NRP, you're a pretty good player. What are your thoughts on Echoes in terms of its meta-changing effects?
Well, obviously, automatons were pretty popular right after Echoes was released, with the XCOG and the wind-up automaton. People started playing that a lot. Overall, Echoes, it didn't really add that many new kinds of things to the game. It kind of just increased the stuff we already have. Like, we got more automatons. There was more undead units. So right after the patch, you definitely saw a lot of automatons. The tournaments were dominated by automaton decks, and that's what I played mostly too. So that's kind of what it did to the meta. I'm not sure what it's going to look like in the future, though.
User left your channel.
All right, and how about you, Billy? Your thoughts, just generally, on the whole Echoes release?
I'm probably one of the worst people to ask about this, because my experience with Echoes is pretty low. But from what I have seen, it did exactly what it set out to do, which was be like a fill expansion where it just kind of added a bit to everything without really introducing anything new itself. And from what I can tell, it kind of did that to a pretty good effect. So.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things about Scrolls is not only do they add cards, but they seem to be adding rather significant features along with every set. I believe that with Rebellion, we got... did we get some sort of trials with that? I don't know. But I know that with Waypoints, we got the whole daily trial system. I think, the automated daily trial system, which no other TCG has really. And with this particular set, we got the custom games and replays. So I personally think that the custom games have almost infinite potential. People can make campaigns with them. People can make this really cool bets and recently scams. You can actually scam people with the new custom games.
Oh, lovely.
But it's just something, just a tool there that puts the fun in the hands of the community. You know, the better your community is, and we have a great community, the more fun you get out of that feature. So I've been playing around with just a couple of custom games, Wild and stuff like that. How about you guys?
Well, I have not been that interested in the custom games. I mean, they're nice, but not really what I'm playing. Only, yeah, I'm playing more ranked, so.
I did play around with them for a while. I think it's cool. I definitely think it's a big improvement, but maybe a little bit too late. Who knows? It's kind of a shame that we didn't have this, 6 months later, or 6 months earlier, excuse me, where I think that, the competitive scene could have really got a hand on it and messed around with the settings a bit and came up with some really cool, interesting game modes that weren't necessarily the standard for what we normally play. Right now, though, it's just kind of been used for fun, interesting kind of games, and like you said, betting and stuff like that. So yeah, it's getting some use. I mean, it's just a real shame that we're not going to be able to see this possibly used to its full potential because of the timing that it came out. And,
yeah, I mean, something that happened with the Minecon qualifiers is that you could use the custom rule set to finally determine who goes first. I mean, I've never thought that to be that big of a deal. NRP, you're a pretty competitive person. Did you notice anything when you played in the Minecon qualifiers? And congratulations, by the way, since you did qualify to get to the actual Minecon finals. But did you notice anything with the whole first turn advantage?
Well, it really, I didn't really change my playstyle. I know some other people were thinking, oh, if I know I'm going to go first match 2, then I'll play a control deck or something like that. But I just played straight up what I would normally do, and yeah, nothing really changed for me. I guess it is more fair, but then again, not really. It's still a best of 3, and one person is going to be able to have the going first one more time. So I don't think it changed as much as people thought it would, but it's still a nice thing to have for tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that the people have been asking for ages. And a really good thing that developers do in Scrolls is that they do add features that people ask for. Sometimes it can take some time, other times they're pretty quick on it, but they do listen to the community.
Oh, yeah.
Which I am pretty happy about. But unfortunately, Echoes was pretty good and all. Replays as well allows you to just watch games that interesting players have made, good players, and you can learn from them. You don't have to be live watching all the time. It also adds to tournaments in that you can be watching other games while you're waiting in between rounds, for example. So I just think that overall Echoes is one of the better expansions, one of the better sets to Scrolls, and it is unfortunate that right after Echoes was released, we got the bad news.
Yeah.
So no more content patches. And that does mean that they will do a little bit of balance tweaking. I guess in a way the developers can kind of tweak existing cards and change them so much that they become new cards. Kind of like how they did with Unbind. But first of all, just what was your initial reaction when you heard about this?
Well, obviously, I think the same as everyone else, right? At first, when I saw it, I was kind of upset, as I think we all are, right? Like, that's the obvious reaction to have there. Personally, I was very disappointed, but, I looked back at Scrolls, and I still do with great joy, and I really enjoyed myself playing this game and being part of the community. So for me, it was just a time of reflection, look back at what, all the cool stuff that I had done and been a part of, and all the cool stuff other people had done and been a part of. And, it was a mixture of sadness and happiness when I first heard the news. I don't think anyone's going to be, particularly cheery about it. Some people are very upset, obviously. But yeah, for me, it's just a mixture of sadness and, fond memories. And, looking back at that and kind of going, yeah, this was actually a pretty cool game when you really think about it, despite all the complaints that perhaps I put out on it.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I was surprised more than anything because of the timing of the announcement. Because we have Minecon coming up this weekend, so it was a bit weird. But I just feel like everyone else does, I guess. It was such a big surprise, really. I mean, did any one of you see it coming? Honestly.
No,
Yes.
definitely not. I did not see it coming.
Yes, I saw it coming. I mean, it's funny. I was actually talking to Gareth about this. I almost called this. Not that it was a prediction that was, no one was talking about it, right? But I almost called this with the very wording itself back on ScrollsTalk in like April. And I already had that mindset before where I said, like, this will be the last update we get, will be Echoes, and then they would slowly, kind of stop making, content for the game and be like balance patches and stuff like that. So, I mean, I did kind of see this coming. I was just surprised by the timing, man. Like, right before Minecon, seems like incredibly poor timing, in my opinion. At least wait until after Minecon,
Yeah, I mean, we have people going now to Mine. I mean, not going to Mine. Look, actually, there are some people going to Minecon just for the sake of scrolls. But you, for example, NRP, you're going to play in this final for a game that no longer has a future, basically. Because they will shut down the servers in a year from now. So, I imagine that can feel pretty bad, I guess.
It feels strange, but it's still Scrolls is still a fun game. I know I'm not going to play as regularly, knowing that it's not going to survive, but I'm still going to enjoy myself this Saturday and maybe try to win that focus painting as a trophy of the time I put into the game.
Yeah, something to show off all your time there. Yeah, that's a good point. And about you, Nananas, what were your thoughts on the whole announcement?
Well, it's actually a funny story because I was just playing Scrolls that day, and then I went to see some friends for a few hours, and when I came back, suddenly all hell broke loose, and I was like, what, have I been living in a cave or something? And it was really strange that it all happened.
Yeah, it was just like this post randomly posted onto Reddit, and a lot of people stumbling in later on into Skype chats and the IRC, they were like, what's going on? And in the game as well, everyone kept saying, go check Reddit, go check scrolls.com.
Oh, yeah.
So it was definitely a surprise factor. People thought it was going bad, and they still had hope for like free-to-play, Steam options. I mean, do you guys think there was anything that they could have done to circumvent this, to not have to announce this?
Yes, probably they could have done something, but it really doesn't matter now. So.
That's pretty much my thinking now. There are lots of things that perhaps could have been done to avoid this. We could talk at great length about these different things, but if we're honest, it doesn't really matter now. It is what it is, and unfortunately, I don't think that it was kind of, I think it was set in stone through previous decisions that were made. That this game was going to eventually kind of finalize, and we would get to the situation we're at now. It's just a shame that it went the way it did, but we learned the lessons of the past, and hopefully we can apply it to future games that perhaps we're involved in, and maybe use this as a good example of maybe if you had done this instead, or done this a different way, that perhaps you can avoid these sort of situations.
Yeah,
but, it is what it is, and it sucks, but life goes on.
And speaking of the future, what games do you guys see yourself playing if you're not gonna stick around for Scrolls? I mean, I think a lot of people are still gonna play Scrolls. It's still a great game. We still haven't scratched the surface of the meta with the Echoes cards. There's still a lot to be found there, a lot of new decks to be discovered. But eventually, like maybe 6 months down the line, maybe 10 months from now, and of course 12 months from now when they will be shutting down the servers, what sort of game do you see yourself playing? What do you see yourself move on to?
Well, I was actually just streaming Duelist. I saw you've played it before, Squiddy. It's a CCG, it's an alpha, and it's kind of similar to Scrolls in that it
it's
has
the
a
closest
game board.
thing I've seen, really.
Yeah, and I just started playing that yesterday, and it's fun so far. So I'll try to put some time to that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people going for the duelist thing. It's the closest game out there because it has the whole game board. It has cards and you summon minions, and it's the closest thing really. But the combat is a little bit different, and they're having a different, of course, monetization model, which is we'll see how that ends up. It's still in alpha, so a lot can change. But there isn't really much out there like Scrolls, and that is a sad thing because there's not really a game for the community to migrate over to, which is a sad thing because the community is the greatest thing.
You said Duelist, and that is probably the closest game to Scrolls, but it's a complete their philosophy on the way the game should be played is completely different. That from what I played of Duelist, their mindset is much more for quick matches, faster matches, and a lot of play out of hand combos and stuff that can be really devastating, and you can win the game within 1 or 2 turns if you have the right cards in your hand, which doesn't really happen in Scrolls. You don't normally get out of hand death plays, unless the game is already very much either super close, it's been going for 50 minutes and both players are down to literally one idol, that they have to try and defend, or it's that you have massive tempo and you're winning by miles. You don't normally get these out of hand death plays, but Duelist has a lot of that, and it's just a different philosophy, and I think that a lot of people will have to just try and play it and see if they like it or not. I know that the Purple Pansy, he really did not like that. That was his biggest gripe with the game, is that he played it for a good 3 or 4 weeks to try and get a grasp on it, and the main complaint he had was that it was just there are some crazy out of hand combos you can do, and it's by design so that the games are really fast and really quick and don't take that long. So, I mean, we'll see. I think if anyone is interested in TCG still, then probably look to Duelist, because it is so early into its development, and maybe, you'll find something really cool that you can actually play. But, I know for me personally, if we're talking about what games we're going to move on to, I think I'm just going to take a break from TCGs, to be honest. I know you said that, people sticking around for a few months. I'm not. I mean, I'm kind of done with Scrolls anyway. I just wanted to find something new to play, something new to be involved in. Anyway, so the news that Scrolls is shutting down pretty much just cements that, and I'm just going to try and look for a new game or new games to really play and set myself into.
All right. How about you, Nananas?
Oh,
What's the question again?
yeah.
Playing other games.
Yeah, what do you see yourself doing? Because eventually Scrolls will be shut down. In 12 months from now, it will be for sure.
To be honest, I really don't know. I mean, I have tried other CCGs like Duelists and stuff, but it's really not the same thing. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to look for a replacement for Scrolls.
I mean, it's not all doom and gloom, because one thing at least that I've seen following this announcement is that a lot of people want to have these tournaments and these community events while there are still players in Scrolls, and why we still have the time until they shut down the servers. For example, the Purple Pansy is going to have the Critter Cups starting the 11th of July. There's going to be 3 different cups, one based on bunnies, one based on rats, and one based on owls, which I'm personally looking forward to. I might even do a little bit of streaming there, take part of it whole. And I think also there's still maybe on the table a wild tournament. Dragon Brawl is definitely going to happen. It's going to happen within this month or the next one. So the Badge Guild will have a chance to take back Susan from the Strategic Angels.
Yes.
And I think also there's a couple of other events. I think the Grumpy Turtle keeps his weekly, have these little mini tournaments, little challenges. Do you guys see yourself participating in those community events?
Well, maybe. I don't know yet. Not because Scrolls is stopping. I'm not going to participate in these events, but yeah, I don't know yet.
Yeah, I don't know yet either. I think I still might play in things like this, like the little tournaments now and then. so I might just have some fun with it. But it's still hard to still play Scrolls. Just it's kind of depressing knowing that it's just doesn't have a future. But yeah, I think mainly my decrease in Scrolls play will just come from not really playing normally anymore. I'll probably still play in tournaments like this.
Yeah, I mean, I've always found the community events to be the most fun thing about Scroll, because it is such a small game. It's always been a small game. So getting really high ranked, it might be a bit of a distinction, an achievement, but you know that you're only really playing against this player base of 2,000 players, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. Whereas with these community events, it's just a fun thing. It's a social thing, and there's so many great people in the community, and these streams are really funny. So I could see that drawing in more players, not drawing in more players, but keeping some players these coming months. But eventually, the lack of content patches are going to be really rough, because it's basically going to be like that stretch of months between Rebellion and Waypoint, only amplified, because we know that there's not going to be any new cards. It is a bit sad, but I think there's still a lot of fun to be had with Scrolls. And speaking of fun, let's move on to your fondest memories of Scrolls. Because I think most of you have been playing this game for 2 years, maybe even more if you started in alpha. And I guess I could just start off with my fondest memory of Scrolls. And that was in the very early beta when I started. I started off the Total Biscuit, had this little WTF is Scrolls. And he really sold the game to me. Like, I thought this looked amazing. I love the art. I love that there was, and I say this all the time, little dudes fighting other little dudes, instead of just having flat cards. And I bought the game. I got into like a game, and I was playing, I think, Growth. And I was playing against an Energy player. And I know that back then, Energy was kind of poor. But I thought that Energy was OP because they had all these structures, ether pumps, and everything just clearing your board. But I guess I was just playing badly. So eventually I just switched to Order, and that's when I realized I can never be an Order player because it was too complicated even back then. But I just had a lot of fun with the Scrolls. I just remember seeing thousands of players online, and it was a ton of fun to just log in, just go into quick match, instantly find the game. And the game really felt alive, like it felt like it had a future and it was going to be huge. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. God, Alice, what is your fondest memory of Scrolls?
Well, my fondest memory is, well, I've mentioned later to, yeah, sorry, I've mentioned it earlier this day when I was talking to Atmas. It's the first Pineapple Cup I did. I saw Atmas post about if anyone wants to do a tournament, just let me know. And I was deciding to do it or not, and eventually I did it, and it was really a lot of fun.
Alright, and how about you, NRP?
My fondest memory of Scrolls probably would be when I joined the Badger Guild, because it's about almost 2 years ago now, and that really changed the entire game for me. Before then, I was just some player that just liked to play a lot of ranked, and I was pretty good. But then once I joined a guild, like, everything changed. You start connecting with people with the same interests as you, and then you get involved in the community, and that's when Scrolls starts to feel more than a game to me. So that's probably the best thing about Scrolls overall, the community.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the best way of enjoying it is being in a guild. There is so much fun to be had when you're playing Scrolls. You're in a guild, you have guildmates, you get a little bit competitive before the brag and brawls, you try out decks, you give each other cards, and it is just a ton of fun. I don't think I would have nearly as much fun if I were just playing on my own without a guild. And I assume you think the same thing, Billy, because you've been in a pretty big and steady guild that has had a lot of community events and streams.
Yeah, that definitely is one of the highlights. I think if you want to go beyond that, you just say the community in general, right? Just how awesome everyone is in here. You know, there are very, very few bad apples in this community, um, and everyone just seems to get along. There's very rarely any arguments between people, if ever. You know, there's always this very healthy attitude to kind of come up with new ideas and work on new tournaments, and you know, to see the game improve constantly, you know. So yeah, I definitely agree. Just the community aspect of this game as a whole is definitely one of my highlights. Just awesome, really really cool, really really cool.
And that's really the sad thing about this all, because this community is going to end up split in one way or another. Even if some people go to Duelist, there's going to be some people who don't like that. If you go to Hearthstone, one of the bigger TCGs, it's just too many people there. You can't really establish a community in the same way. So, I mean, it's a sad thing, but at least it was a fun game. And I think that right now we're going to bring in Simon and hear his thoughts. So if one of you guys would like to leave, that'd be pretty great.
I will believe if it's necessary, so...
It's alright.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Nas. Thank you so much for coming onto this stream. Do you have any
Yeah.
last words? Any plugs you'd like to make?
Just what Atmos was saying, like, look at what the developers are
User entered your
thinking.
channel.
They are also, it's very tragic for them too, so it's really bad for them to see all the negative posts.
Yeah, I think people have been a bit overly harsh towards the devs, and I suspect that some of the bad things about the game haven't really been in the hands of the developers, such as the size of the development team. You know, give the guys a little bit of, I don't know, just, you know, don't be so harsh on them. They've done their best, I think.
Okay, I'll believe in them now. Bye-bye.
Alright, bye-bye.
Amen.
See it.
User disconnected from your
Hey
channel.
guys.
And now we have the superb Simone. I believe you're also another member of the Rats and Bunnies.
Co-founder, mate.
Co-founder.
Listen to him brag. Look at this.
I mean-
Yeah, that's me.
So, I mean, you and Billy, you've done streams together before.
Hmm
What
Don't know why.
do you
Why
think?
would I
Yeah,
do it?
I don't know. He's a nightmare. I'm gonna be honest.
And you've played against NRP in the Brag and Brawl, I presume, at some point.
Probably. I played against him in other tournaments, probably, and lost, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I've also lost, so that's nothing to be ashamed of.
I've never lost a NUP. I'm gonna be honest.
But yeah, Billy, so you've been playing a little bit of Scrolls lately, I presume. I mean, Simon. Sorry, not
A
you.
little bit, yeah. I have. Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on the whole Echoes release?
Well, the release went as expected. Slight rise, then dip, but the cards itself, they're pretty cool cards. They just haven't been explored yet because it's just released like 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And now they probably never will be really explored because pretty much no one's going to play enough to really care about finding out the ins and outs of the new set. But they all seem pretty cool. Lots of like game finishes and pace quickening scrolls. That's the word.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the games. I think feels a lot faster. They end like 15-minute mark, 20-minute mark at most. When you have stuff like the Excogitator, if that is put down on the field, it's actually protected. It comes out 2-3 scout automatons. You might as well just give up. Save yourself the time.
I actually think matches may have gotten a bit longer since Echoes just because of the increase in automaton decks. Those mid-range decks battling other mid-range decks can make for some games ending in over like 20 rounds, like when you have automatons and like Decay just facing off or mirror matches of those guys, the games can get really long. And also with Echoes, there's been probably less aggro than in the past, so but then that's also counterbalanced with an increase in tempo order. But yeah.
But I presume tempo order is pretty decent actually with the new cards. But yeah, back to you, Simone. So we discussed here our initial reactions to the announcement of not there being any content patches. What was your initial reaction?
I'm mainly surprised that it happened like right now instead of after, at least after Echoes, Minecon tournament. But I kind of was expecting it in a way. Like I didn't expect there to be many more massive updates in terms of cards because cards weren't fixing anything really. Like they needed to do something else. So kind of disappointed, kind of sad, kind of expecting it, and yeah, a bit surprised as well.
Yeah, and I've asked these other guys as well, but do you see yourself playing the game now the coming months leading up to the server shutdowns?
Not that much really. Probably find a new game to play a lot. Maybe there, probably. But I will play because I know Pansy was probably going to do some community play dates over the next year. I'll probably play in a few of them, but nothing. I won't play unless like other people are like deciding to play at the same time in tournaments and stuff.
Alright, and we are actually going to switch out the guests again. NRP, thank you so much for being here. And if you have any last minute shout outs and plugs, feel free to go.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm still doing my YouTube channel, by the way, just not as much Scroll stuff lately. So I'm still alive, I'll still be here, but just might not play Scrolls as often. So thanks for having me on, and see you guys.
Alright, bye NRP. And welcome
User
the purple
disconnected from your channel.
pansy.
It's the Rats and Bunnies takeover.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yes,
say,
it kinda is.
Well, yeah.
This is actually R&B live right now.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd be able to get on at all, but I took a quick shower and got work in like an hour, so.
Nice.
Yeah, and we're really happy to have you here because you're pretty much a community pillar. I've always loved your streams, I always loved the R&B streams, because it's just fun, you know, a little bit casual, not so serious, and with really weird deck rules and decks, and yeah, it's just a ton of fun. So thank you so much for being here. You've recently had a baby, I believe.
Yes. He is actually a big reason why I don't stream much anymore. Sadly.
He's the reason why Scrolls.
Blame Milo.
Yes,
Hashtag
blame Milo is
Hashtag
going
Milo, please.
around the world. It's trending on Twitter pretty often.
Yep.
But I mean, even before that, though, even before Milo came, I started kind of fading out because the main thing I did was ESL casting. I started fading out of that a little bit because my casting style is a little different than everybody else's, which is I'm like,
aka
yeah,
talk,
I mean,
2 hours, whatever it is.
yeah, anime talk for 2 hours, and so some people loved that and some people didn't. So I kind of kept it to my own stream, but sadly, my own.
To be fair, you were voted best caster of 2014. So
Yes,
I mean,
you were. There were
got that
things.
goal.
Not best caster, not best caster.
No, you got best caster. You got best caster and favorite personality.
Was it the
I thought
Golden
it was-
Bunny
I thought it
Awards?
was only best
Yeah, the
personality.
Golden Bunnies.
Not best body though. Only
I don't
best
think that
personality.
was
No,
one.
I mean, I was the only candidate for that, so of course I won. Let's be honest here.
You know, it's a shame. I hope you guys have that Golden Bunny Award again because I was hoping like next year I'll definitely get it. I'll do a little ScrollsTalks podcast. I'll do this weekly post on Reddit, and I'll definitely get one of those rewards.
We'll make an award most graceful in defeat or
I
something.
can tell you I won't be doing it. But if someone wants to take up the mantle and do it, then you're more than welcome. I don't mind who takes it. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, but it's not going to
at
be
least
the
to me.
same thing at the end of the year when there's like 20 people.
I
Playing
thought about
Scrolls.
doing one I thought about doing one this week, like just as a end off, you know, just do it
So
for
long.
what part of the year that we've had, you know. But I haven't. I don't know. I feel like if there's a big call for it, then someone will step up and do it. You know what I mean? So I don't think I necessarily have to do that. So if any of you guys in chat feel like doing the Golden Bunnies, then please be my guest. You're more than welcome.
You heard the man. But alright, let's get back to the topics here of the show. So, Pansy, what was your initial reaction? The announcement of there not being any more content patches after Echoes.
I think I was probably honestly one of the least affected. Because, I mean...
You haven't really been playing the game.
Well, no, I have been playing the game. If you go on my... The thing is, I've been playing the game in the middle of the night and not streaming it. But, I mean, if you go on my match history, I'm playing every other day, mostly. But, but the big thing for me is that I think around release, it just became very apparent that this game would never be big and that it was essentially a walking zombie at that point. So the official official announcement that it died wasn't necessarily surprising. And also it didn't affect me because, I mean, a lot of people were talking about leaving the game. But honestly, like, I was prepared for the game to stop being updated, like, since the release happened. So for me, it was like, well, I'll have another year of fun with this game, so... I still put on events. I'll still do whatever.
Yeah, I mean, think that's super great.
If anything, it was fun to see. Like, hey, at least we get some activity on the subreddit.
God,
and stuff,
you're
right?
a horrible person. You're a horrible person.
I did notice that.
You know, it's actually the nice thing about it is the outpouring of people recognizing what we are losing with the game. The fact that, I mean, Squiddy, you made a thread about you don't feel like there's any game to go to, and yeah. I think it put a lot of focus on the fact that this was something special, that the game had a lot going for it. And it was very nice to see actually people that never played the game come in and be like, this game looks awesome, I'm sorry that I didn't get to play it and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's probably the most disappointing thing from all this is the amount of people I've seen that go, I didn't even know the game was out, or it's like, you know, the last I heard the game was at the lawsuit that they had excuse me, that they had with Bethesda, you know? So it's kind of...
That advertising campaign.
It's just a shame that was the biggest response that I saw from people outside of the Scrolls community, you know? Like the inner circle. I don't know.
But I mean, what happened, happened. I mean, it's a good thing at least people are recognizing Scrolls as a good game with a good community. You know, eventually games do end. It happens sooner or later. I basically consider this game to be launched when you can pay for it. So Scrolls has had about 2 years of running time.
And when you really think about it, the game has only been out, you know, for like just over 7 months, you know? Like
yeah, I mean technically
just into 7 months, you know, and it's kind of when you think of it like that, it's like, wow, this is like kind of surprising. But then when you think about it in the sense of, well, hang on, this game's been in pay and beta, you know, for 2 years, then you go, oh, okay, well, actually the game has had a pretty long life cycle, right? Because most games' life cycle is around a year and a half. So to make it 2 years is pretty good, you know. So
I mean, I definitely think that the developers can be somewhat proud of the game. I think the game itself,
for an indie,
yeah,
for an indie game, getting you know, a dedicated following like this is pretty impressive, especially in today's market. You know, people only have so much time to dedicate to a game, and to have such a dedicated fan base, you know, is pretty impressive. And I think that the devs should be happy about that. And I think it does speak somewhat to the game, right? Like somewhat to the quality of the game, where you can say that no, for an indie game, it actually had a fair following, you know, for what it was. Of course, unfortunately, it wasn't enough to sustain the game, and the following did dip, you know, and come back. But you know, it was okay. A fair following.
Wild Gareth appeared.
Okay, Gareth. Could you turn off the stream, Gareth?
User left your channel.
It's always there's someone ruining.
This is why Scrolls better.
There's always someone ruining my goddamn podcast. All right, but yeah, I mean, it was a great game, and at least Pansy, you're going to be pretty involved in the future here, the coming months. Can we expect to see more events after the Crypto Cups?
Yeah, you could expect more than. I mean, it was the Bunny Cup was biannual, so I would obviously. I mean, we'll probably do one or two more, obviously after this one. So I mean, there'll probably be a Bunny Cup around Christmas time, and then whatever. And then outside of that, I don't know what the interest is going to be in this game is the thing. So I would like to organize events, but we're really going to have to see what events people actually want. There might just be events that are like, hey, get on and play Scrolls. That's the event. You know?
I'd love a wild tournament. That's an idea.
I don't know, man. Also the big thing is too, I'm not very good at actual official tournaments. Obviously, I do Bunny Cup and Night Owl tournaments, and I love doing that kind of stuff. So
hold on. Very, very quick question. This just popped into my head, and maybe one of you guys can answer it. The Minecraft cape you can get for getting top of the ladder, like 5 weeks in a row, that cuts off, right? Like, they're cutting that off. That's not going to keep going for a year, is it?
That is going to go on for a year, but they're not going to freely give out the cape. That's the last I heard.
5 weeks
Yeah.
ladder, yeah.
But that's still going to go for another
let's
year.
just trade off.
Yeah.
Let's just sub out. Hey, I could actually get in the top 10 for once. So.
I was going to say, man, this is my chance for number one, alright? Like...
Yeah, personally, I never cared about the Minecraft cape. The thing is, I don't think there is that big of a overlap between the Minecraft audience and the Scrolls audience. At least in my personal experience.
Yeah.
Well, you want to talk about one of the weaknesses of this game is the fact that one of their main target marketing audiences was Minecraft. That's how I found out about it. I had never played a card game before, and I found out about it because I played Minecraft and I followed the Mojang. Like I followed what they were doing. Like I was very aware of was the other one Cobalt, and then or I forget what it was called. But I was like following what they were doing, so I jumped in because of that. But like honestly, like Minecraft people shouldn't exactly be the target audience for this game. If you asked me about that, the target audience should have been Magic the Gathering players.
Pretty much.
And I know a lot of people that play Magic the Gathering, like even at work and stuff. And I actually talked to them about Scrolls, and they're like, "Oh, that sounds interesting," but they never heard of it, and nothing ever came.
I mean, I recall seeing this one Minecraft podcast, and they said, "Why didn't Mojang just make a Minecraft TCG with all the Minecraft creatures and whatnot?"
That is a fair point, though. If they wanted an instant
it'd be a lot more successful.
Why didn't they do that? Yeah,
it'd be a lot more successful.
It would be a lot more successful. But I don't think they could. But here's the thing: I don't think that they could have a game like Scrolls within the universe of Minecraft, right? Because it really is.
I mean, you don't have factions, you don't really have heroes of sort.
They would have to like give a story to a game that doesn't have any story. You know what I'm saying?
Walking Dead story. Oh no, not create the Walking Dead one. Then Telltale. There's a Minecraft one, isn't there? There was at least.
Oh yeah, there was that. Why didn't they make a tie-in to Minecraft?
Who knows?
I mean, I don't think they should though, because
no, I don't think they should have either. But I'm wondering why they didn't. Like, we talked about me and Newpans talked about this earlier this morning, where we talked about like business decisions and treating the game as a passion project opposed to as a job, perhaps. And I think that somewhat ties into it. Is that if you think of it this way, Scrolls is such a passion project. Because if they really wanted the game to be a success, they would have just made it a tie-in to Minecraft. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Well, let me go into my little rant about that real quick.
Yeah,
I got
I'll
like 15 minutes.
All right, go on.
If you want me to sum up what was wrong with the game, I mean, we can go into all the different aspects, right? It wasn't one thing; it was a bunch of separate things. It was the fact that the game launched too early, and the main push for like population was during that time. And there wasn't enough content. The game wasn't very good. Game was too long. People left. Game got better, but then there was no more marketing, no more population. But all of these things can really be summed up in one thing: that I believe the devs, and this is actually not a dig at their passion for it or the amount of work that goes into it, but it's a dig at their mindset. Their mindset was treating this like a hobby instead of like a job. And what does that mean? It means that they stuck a little bit too much to what they wanted to do instead of what actually would have made the game successful. We saw that kind of with with the account stuff, first off. I mean, obviously people talk about Steam all the time, and their reasons for Steam have been somewhat laid out before, and to be honest, it's because they don't want to be on Steam. They don't want to sacrifice the account system, stuff like that. I mean, the iOS launch obviously was a big problem. There was just a lot of things that felt like they didn't want the game to necessarily get big because they didn't want to put the manpower behind it. They didn't put money behind it. They didn't put really manpower behind it. I think it was just mostly just kind of a hobby instead of a job. I mean, they even talked about, Carnalizer did say they didn't do the YouTube thing because that was a line they didn't want to cross. They didn't want to pay people to do YouTube. But
It's
that's
the same time as Gamersgate, so I kind of understand what they're coming from.
I mean, we should have marketplace morality, absolutely. But there's a certain line that you cross where it's like, well, it is moral. This is a threat. Actually, that was a discussion on our games a while back, and the general consensus was it's fine as long as they're not being sneaky about it and it's not a review. You know, like Carnalizer said that they didn't want to cross the line of paying YouTubers, and then YouTubers seem like they're not getting paid. And I understand that, but you can get around that really easily by just making yourself a sponsor of the stream. Yeah. Those are lines that need to be crossed for the sake of the game. And it's lines they weren't willing to cross because of personal reasons. And personal reasons come into play when it's a hobby. It doesn't come into play when it's a job. Like, I don't know. I feel like if they had focused more on that...
Let me do say that you don't mean that as an insult, right? Like, I think you're in the same mindset as me where you say that the decision not to make those sacrifices to keep the game, you know, as true to its roots as it could be, are some of the reasons why the game is as good as it is, why it has such a fair play model, you know, why the devs were so grounded and were able to speak with people, you know, like, you're not saying that as a negative as such, right? You're just saying it's a I
mean, there are certainly positives to to this game not being pay to win. There are absolutely positives to that. But let's be honest, this game would be a big deal if it was pay to win slightly. If it was slightly paid, if you made this game free to play, and you could buy decks with real money, or if you could buy certain cards, or if you could buy things to craft cards or something like that, it would be significantly more successful. And yeah, that's annoying, and yeah, it doesn't really work that well, but I mean, people would get on this game all the time. Total Biscuit in his video said, I couldn't buy anything. I had to like grind for cards, and he's like, I would have thrown money at the game and bought the cards I wanted and played the game more. But he didn't do that because there was literally nothing to buy with shards. Shards were the most useless thing in the game. It could have easily been free to play. It could have.
I mean, what this shows really is that you can't really make a TCG with a fair business model and then have regular content updates at a pace that players actually want them to come out at. It just doesn't come together.
It doesn't work, yeah.
Yeah, and the whole early access thing doesn't really work. I mean, it works.
You have an early
sometimes you need... with it was really... With a small team like this, and with the amount of people that flooded in, you needed to pump out content
I think
really badly.
With that, I think that ties into the fact that it wasn't free to play, right? The fact that it was a buy-in beta was to generate revenue, you know?
Well, if this was by an actual publisher, not an indie studio, they would have immediately seen the fact that CCGs are a big thing. They have a big market, and not everybody, people like me don't want Hearthstone. They don't want quick 5-minute matches. They want 15, 20-minute matches that are actually like good strategical depth behind them. And an actual publisher would have thrown money behind that. Would have gotten this game deserved a larger team. It deserved someone specifically in charge of marketing, and it deserved quicker releases. It deserved to be on Steam. It deserved to be on iOS. It deserved a lot, and it had great ideas. But I think and again, I don't want to slight the devs too much here because I think I saw the passion behind it. I saw the work they put behind it. But there's a difference between putting work behind a hobby and putting work behind a job, if that makes sense. And it's not a failure. Lots of good things came out of it. And there's not many.
It's not a failure, yeah.
And there's not many games where the devs are friends with the players. That's fantastic. Like the fact that Mans has played games with the community, the fact that we've watched the Carnalizer art streams, the fact that we all know Atmaz, we all know Gareth. Like That's great. That's fantastic, and I don't want to slight the devs too much on that, but that doesn't mean it was the right team for a game that's as ambitious as a CCG, and it was gonna die at the way it was being handled. But yeah.
All right, so there you have it. Basically, I think that now in hindsight, it's pretty easy to point out what went wrong. And it's just a shame that nothing really could have been done. This problem was...
It's Mojang management, not the Git dev.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I could sit here and list off 101 things that I think should have been done to improve the game. But I think, if I'm being honest with you guys, I can't say what would have made Scrolls a success. I can't say this is what we should have done, this is what we should have done, etc., etc. Because I think it was 101 things. I think it was a mixture of poor timing and bad luck. I think that it was poor decisions and lack of innovation. Like, all these things. It's a huge amount of things that are all very, very small and easily fixable, but I can't put my finger on which one is the real problem, you know?
Literally.
So,
what killed this game was Go Draw. Not even kidding. What killed this game was Go Draw.
We all know that because they didn't buff mess, the game just failed.
They did buff mess with Echoes.
We can deny it for as long as we want. No,
but seriously, Go Draw. Like, everyone, it took so long. It's all because Go Draw. Nothing. It's just if that deck never existed.
Well, hey,
carried on playing.
If open beta would have launched before Echoes, I've been talking to Billy about this. Like, this game now this isn't slighting Echoes because Echoes needs some balance, but like that's natural. Like, it's a new patch. This game, right before Echoes, is the pinnacle right now of CCGs. The game was more balanced than any. In ESL, all 4 factions were viable, and 2 to 3 variations of each faction was viable in top-level play. The top 10 consisted, I think it was 3 energy players, I think it was 3 order players, it was a DG player, an ED player, and then the rest was Undead Decay. And Growth wasn't in the top 10, but it dominated the middle of the ladder. That is like deck variety to the max. Add on top of that custom games and replays being added, and this game was actually seeing the polish that was a big deal.
Real quick.
And if it had launched like that, we might be dealing with a different situation.
I hope chat isn't taking us seriously when me and Simon were talking about Go Draw and Mez.
But no, not seriously. Go Draw was really awful.
I don't know, guys, if you've been around long or what, but...
Go Draw definitely hurt the game because people stopped playing because Go Draw was a thing, but it wasn't...
If he's not joking, I'm certainly joking about Mez, because that's been a joke I've been saying for like a year.
Guys, Go Draw, after that, there was no hope. It was mainly...
Guys, Simon is joking. He's playing with people right now.
Whoa!
Yes.
Billy, you're shutting us down a little bit. People did legitimately stop playing because of Go Draw and Mez.
I know.
But people stop playing card games because of stuff like that all the time. People stop playing all other kind of card games because of stupid stuff like that. It's a make sure you don't keep it there that long.
Yeah, I mean, people quit Hearthstone because of Hundreds, with the whole Undertaker. That was bullshit. That actually put people off.
Quit Duelist because of.
Yes, I quit it because of Maelstrom shenanigans.
Maelstrom.
7 in a row, or whatever it was. It was great. Good times.
Good times.
All right, we're actually gonna invite on Gareth, which is our community manager. I think is Scrolls semi-scrolling. Yeah, I mean.
Questionable.
I don't know. I think he is our community manager.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, so Gareth.
It's his fault.
Join in now.
The game didn't.
I saw you peeking in earlier at the TeamSpeak.
Just give him a second. The stream delay is. There we go.
All right, there we go.
Hello, gather round.
Welcome onto the ScrollsTalks. I believe this is the first time you're on. I'm pretty sure that some of you guys haven't been on earlier as well. But you are our community manager.
I am.
And you've been our community manager since, I think, last year. I can't remember when they were added to the game.
October.
All right, then.
September, October.
And I personally think that you guys have done a great job. You've been listening to the community. You've been taking our ideas, pushing them to the developers. taking what the developers are thinking, and in particular when it comes to these balance changes and patch changes, you've actually been giving reasons for this and that change, which I think
also
was
really
super great.
wish that they were around when the game went open beta. Gareth and
Yeah,
Atmaz,
definitely.
That would have been awesome. 'Cause
Yeah,
they
I
definitely
mean,
helped.
we were. I mean, I've basically been around since Alpha, so I've been around and trying to do stuff with the adminning of Scrolls Guide and Reddit and so on. There has been a sea change as soon as we became the community managers. There was some doors were open certainly, but we have been around. I mean, Blinky was a big figure in the whole thing, and we have had quite a few people who were sort of acting community managers. But yeah, I mean, there was certainly a change when we became community managers. I can't even say my own title.
But I mean, I think just like what Pans was saying a couple of minutes ago, the game in its current state is amazing. If this was what the game was just shown off as, like during open beta or whatever, I think it would have just been super popular and gotten even more people, because we have a great community, we have great community managers, we have awesome content coming out, and diversity when it comes to deck types, representation from all sorts of factions. So it is a bit sad to hear that no, there's not going to be any more content patches, and basically hear that the server is going to be shut down a year from now. So I mean, you're the CM, so you probably knew about this a little bit in advance.
Yeah.
But was this something that they were discussing like a while ago, or is this a recent thing that just came from higher ups? I guess.
I think that, I mean, obviously this is a business, so you do look at certain warning signs, and you do try to take steps to try and sort of reduce the impact those issues might have. So I think people will go, oh, all of a sudden we realise it's a failure. Now we're going to have to start doing it. I don't think it was that at all. It's a constant. It's like probably the best analogy is like a ship. I mean, you're constantly making adjustments to try and get to your destination. So, I think nobody wanted to make the decision, and I think that really it's probably the best time to do it. But it's an ongoing process development, as all you sort of coders know, designers know. So, I don't know. I think it reaches a certain point where you go, no, I think we're going to have to finish now.
Yeah, I mean, probably the writing was on the wall. I mean, we've been seeing fewer and fewer players, and while the Humble Bundle push was, I guess, was it successful in the eyes of Mojang?
When I was listening to Atmaz's stream, and I think it does always come back down to retention. It is a case of I mean, you say that what we've got at this moment in time is, we're in the perfect state at this moment in time with, the features and, the community and so on. But the question is, and we can't ask this question, we can't answer this question, sorry, would we have retention? And then we start having more more statements of no, because Wild isn't working.
Yeah.
Or, and we go through the whole list, and that's that thing there. I'm pointing at it now, and that's the reason why things are going wrong. So, I don't know. I want this to continue on forever. I've enjoyed every aspect of the game and the community and so on, and it's difficult, but
What I would like to know is, why did you decide to announce it was shutting down before Minecon, rather than after that?
Well, certainly I think that I mean, as Atma has said, I basically collected all the questions together that you guys have been asking, and put it into a single post so they could post that up. So, as he said, we wouldn't necessarily want to sort of steal their thunder or make it seem like we're the ones coming to the conclusions, when it's actually them who come to these decisions, and they're answering you directly. But I think that if we look at it from the side, we go into Minecon hypothetically, and Scrolls is alive and everything's fine and so on and so forth. Would that really be fair? Would it be fair going into Minecon, having a presence in Minecon?
I mean, I
Sure,
can see what
maybe
you're
it's a
saying
case of
here.
that Minecon might have sort of increased the playing numbers. I mean, I basically have been pushing for double gold weekend for Minecon. I've been saying for a long period of time that we want to have something happen to people who aren't at Minecon, because it did go a bit dead, didn't it? There was what's happening, when's the stream coming out, when's the panel video for the panel, all of that was quite painful. And I think that the devs wanted to make sure that everything that was out, that the Echoes was out, and the custom matches were all set, and all the balance changes were made, because they want to give you a product. They want to finish this. As I said, they could have stopped if they didn't care. They could have stopped, and I think it really was a case of caring that Minecon people, Minecon wasn't affected in a way, but also that you guys weren't affected as well. If that makes any sense.
Well, I mean, I can see the point of not saying it after Minecon, because you're kind of giving people false hope in a way. You're having this, what seems to be like this big push to make Scrolls more popular, and then a week afterwards, oh guys, there's not going to be any more content patches. I think people would have been more disappointed with that.
I gotta go, but I do
No
want to
problem.
say I am very thankful that you guys didn't say it after Minecon, because Minecon gets to be a final send-off for a lot of people compared to a high right before dropping the bomb. So, like, sheesh, that would have been horrible. But I gotta go. My baby's screaming at me.
Bye bye, baby.
As you hear. But it was nice talking to everybody. I'll catch the VOD later, but I gotta go to work.
Take care of yourself.
Bye, everybody.
Bye now.
User disconnected from your channel.
All right.
Oh, finally, he's
Hashtag blame Milo, am I right?
But yeah, I mean, I think the date, I mean, the announcement, it had to happen sooner or later. I think people would rather have it sooner. Right now, people might be upset, but
I'd rather not have it at all, to be honest. But
yeah, I mean, sure. But eventually, people are gonna understand. Yeah, it's probably better to end it on a high note, like Pansy said. But I mean, what's gonna happen with you now, Gareth, in the coming 6 to 12 months now? Will you still be a community manager?
I mean, unofficially only from Sunday. Both myself and Gary Atmaz will be stepping down officially. But the thing is, I mean, I've said this before, the thing is, I was an unofficial community manager. I saw myself as that anyway, leading up to September, October. So nothing's really changed in the way that I've approached the game, and I'm going to continue to hang around until people don't need me to.
Right, that's pretty good to
I
hear.
just enjoyed the whole thing.
All right.
I gotta ask, is there anything planned next, right, for the developers of Scrolls? Have they spoken to you about what their future plans are?
Well, I think that you've got the dreaded vacations, which I know that you guys have been talking about at some point or another. Got the vacations. There's loads of projects that are happening in Mojang at this moment in time. Based around that other game that they do. It's not very successful with that other game that they
What's
do.
it called again? I've forgotten.
I'm not
I think
sure.
it's Craft Star or something.
A survival
Yeah,
kind of
sounds
thing, I
like
think it was. Yeah. So yeah, that's essentially what my understanding is what they're going to be doing.
But did you get a sneak peek on the set 8 or anything like that? Were there any ideas for the set after Echoes?
No. Effectively, the main effort was being put into set 7, and that was it essentially.
Was there anything that wasn't ready for release that kind of the groundwork was laid for? And can you talk about any of those ideas that were possibly coming along the line?
Campaign.
Yeah, like campaign, for instance. Was there any progress made on that at all?
No. I mean, I think that if anything could have been done, it would have been done. I think that Mons was talking about campaign and also the other feature. I can't remember off the top of my head what
War
that
Zones?
was. That's the fella.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would probably be just a bit too long to actually progress those and put those in. But I mean, certainly I'm more than happy to add that. I think actually that was one of the questions that they've answered, so they'll be able to best answer that.
All right, that's good to know. Well, I mean, what happened, and what I've seen in the announcement is that they're gonna keep the servers running as long as possible, and that all future proceeds will go towards that. So is there like a possibility to extend the deadline for the shutdown of the servers?
Well, we've got a year, and I think a year is sort of is good. I mean, that if anybody certainly needs sort of time to enhance the game, you know, when it's not unfortunately in development at this moment in time, then a year is more than sufficient for that to happen. You know, if we see increased sales, then maybe it's a case of that they will decide to carry on and do more development. It comes down to that simple sentence of, you know, the funds that are taken from Scrolls will go towards further development after the server costs are being paid for. So, you know, if in this hypothetical world we were suddenly to get, you know, 100 million pounds suddenly come into the game, then suddenly Scrolls will be back in development and we'll have set 8, 9, 10, 11. But it has to be about the business side of it, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, that was something that we talked about a bit earlier, about the whole business with Scrolls initially being a paid-for product, which is really great in terms of fairness, but might not have been that good when it comes to bringing in money and keeping development actually profitable. But, you know, that's in the past. We've discussed it. We've done our sort of hypotheticals, and I think there is no point in trying to point blame or figure out what could have been done better. So let's discuss the future, and I mean, you're going to be around in kind of an unofficial capacity, helping out. I mean, you're responsible for ScrollsGuide.com, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Cohen Bastany is actually for Scrolls Guide.
Is that staying around? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I spoke to him about that today. Asked him what sort of the next steps are. I think I'm not sure I'm speaking out of turn here, but I think he was offered a fair amount of money a long time ago to give that away to another, and he decided not to. So, you know, it's again, as with all aspects, and I think with a lot of people in the community, you know, we're here because we love the community and we love the game. So. Let's just see how things develop. I would imagine, you know, that there's no reason to shut down Scrolls Guide or Academy or Scrollger until, you know, I think Scrollger's finishing in January, February, is it?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to keep going until the server costs pop up.
Yeah. You know, so it is a case of that. You know, we'll carry on as long as is needed. I'm sure we'll have people still popping into the subreddit as well. Some of our old friends.
Yeah, I mean, probably people will come back who've only tried out maybe the first set and haven't seen Waypoints and Echoes. So I think now we'll see a little bit more players, veterans, and maybe people who've heard about Scrolls because of this whole announcement. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I will stick around. Pansy is going to do his little community events. We're going to have tournaments at least the coming months. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the near future.
It is a difficult time because, you know, this is a collectible card game, you know, so it is a lot of it is based off metas changing, and you know that is the classic sort of mechanic for a collectible card game. I think that Scrolls is a few steps away from that in that style of game. So and when you combine that with the fact that you've got custom matches, there is a lot more content, there's a lot more things that can be done with Scrolls that hypothetically you would look at a collectible card game and say, right, that's it, there's no point carrying on. I was checking on a lot of the mobile games and that, like some of the card games, you could loosely describe them as that on there, and some of them don't actually update their cards, you know, for a year. Well, so obviously we had a little bit of delays in our one, but or they simply just don't update the cards. That's it. That's the game. There's nothing more than that. So, you know, I think that there is certainly longevity in Scrolls. I think it's just a case of now what we can do with it. I've been aware of this. It's going to happen for a while, but I'm still speaking to No Hero. You know, the mod
guy.
Mod Supreme
Yeah.
aficionado,
I'm
whatever.
constantly harassing him about mods. He's getting a bit pissed off with me about it. Because I think, I mean, when I basically, how I got into this effectively, into the community more with the community, is I did the original video explaining what Summoner was all those years ago, whilst I was actually on holiday with my wife and her family, and they were not happy about me on the creating these crappy videos. But so I mean, I've been really excited about a modding community in Scrolls, and I think there's still scope there for that. You know, I think maybe it's a case of that there isn't going to be the updates. Updates was a real bugbear when it came to modding, because as soon as there's an update, all the mods wouldn't work. And then, of course, with the new launcher, Old Summoner doesn't work. So thankfully, no heroes picked that up. I think there is scope there for a lot more mods to come in. Maybe it's a case of that the UI can be changed as he was doing with a lot of the stuff before, say Black Market, for instance. So there's something there. There is growth. There is sort of movement. But perhaps, obviously, some people go, well, no,
I think
can't go any further. Sorry,
modding, this probably wouldn't happen, but propagating code and stuff for the game, if we could keep a server going, modding would probably happen. Like, if we could change more than just the UI.
Yeah.
I know the lead stuff allow it, but
yeah,
that's what people are asking for now.
Yeah, I think that means
People
certainly modding.
still keep the game alive.
Yeah, I think certainly with you've got the actual code itself, then modding can begin earnestly. You can become serious with it. The issue is, of course, with that, if it was to happen, is that you then start having shards everywhere. So you may still have 100 people or 10 people on your particular shard, whereas somebody else has got 5. And I don't like the fact that you're doing that mod with that game, so I want to do it on my server. So you wouldn't necessarily have potentially everybody congregating in the same place, but you never know with those sort of things. One or two big games now have been based off mods previously. With regard to the code itself being released, that's a minefield. I mean, it would have been a minefield even though this wasn't called Scrolls and all of the issues that happened before. I think that Mojang are the guys who love open source and everybody having what they've got. But I think just that from the very start causes problems. But I know nothing more than that.
All right. Well, I mean, if you don't know anything more, then it's just a wait-and-see situation. I wouldn't get my hopes up for that sort of thing because, like you said, there is a lot of legal conundrums to go through, and it's now owned by Microsoft, and yeah. It's something that a lot of people want, but who knows? We'll see. But, let's take a look back at the history of Scrolls. So, Billy, I don't think you've even said your fondest memory of Scrolls. Oh, actually, Billy, you're not here.
No, Billy.
Simon, why don't we start off with you?
Fondest memory, probably, and I know Pansy, you didn't get to say his as well. This is one of his too, so I'm going to say it. It was the Virgin Slayer Dodder match back in not early-ish beta, when they both first there was the double pother by Dodder, I think, to save him. He pothered, drew another pother to save himself. And then either in the next game, because that was the same series, either in the next game on the same game, they both misplayed 2 turns in a row with lethal and for Dodder, he misplayed for a Jarl, I think, to let Virgin Slayer win the first ESL or something, a big ESL tournament playoff, and that was like my fondest memory.
Alright.
That was Pansy, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the order spells and units have caused a lot of fun, interesting events like speeding generals and things like that. But how about you, Gareth? What is your fondest memory of Scrolls?
I think, I mean, we did a charity stream.
Oh yeah.
Well, it was a scroll stream, which I really enjoyed when I was doing it with Rasty and Grumpcat. Loved doing those. We did a charity stream, and I think it was Rastian twerking to try and get some more money in. It was the first time we actually showed all our faces on the stream as well. But I think that just having, you can't beat your mates streaming with you, playing a game that you really enjoy, and getting horribly abused by people in chat. There's nothing better than that.
And
Yeah, I
also
mean-
the Poi stream and other streams.
Yeah.
I mean, streaming has for me been a really big part of Scrolls and the whole Scroll community. I didn't even know of Twitch prior to Scrolls. I didn't watch it, I wasn't really aware of it being a thing, but then I started playing Scrolls. I saw that the R&B had these streams, especially around when Decay was released, and they were showing off all these new Scrolls on, I think, Heart of the Scrolls podcast. It was run by the Badger Guild and Ice Cream. I thought that was really cool, tuning in, watching these players, chatting with all the people in the chat, and just discussing all these cards coming up. And since then, I was kind of hooked, and I've been watching other games now on Twitch. But really, Scrolls was what kind of got me into the whole Twitch scene in a way, since I'm also now streaming a little bit.
Yeah, I think that streaming with sort of a card game is you've got more time to actually focus on the chat.
Error.
If you're doing something that's more arcading, you have to more focus on the game itself, then it becomes a bit more difficult. And I think that is certainly something which I was pushing again, because as soon as Minecraft had Twitch chat in the chat saying, "You got to get that in, you've got to get that into Scrolls, that needs to happen."
Yeah, I mean, Twitch really, it is the thing. It's one of the glue components of kind of pull together the Scrolls community. Like whenever there is a Scrolls stream, if you're the only stream up, everyone will be watching you. Like it doesn't matter if you're a new streamer. Like everyone will say, "Oh, there's a guy streaming," and then they'll post the link in the IRC, and suddenly he will have like 10 new viewers, which I think is really cool. I mean, especially when it comes to new streamers, they really feel welcome, I think, when they start streaming Scrolls.
Yeah. Actually, another good memory I had was a Friday night, and Ice Cream was doing a stream, and it was people were requesting music, and he was sometimes playing Scrolls. I mean, just basically, everybody was just talking rubbish. It was quality. I was drunk. I think a few other people were drunk. It was don't drink, kids. It was just a quality community thing. Oh, it was excellent.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully we'll see a couple of new players, a couple of new streamers still jump in and still make some new fond memories. I think we have Billy back with us now.
I do, I'm sorry.
No worries.
There was an IRL mad that required my immediate attention.
No worries.
It was a wasp.
We were just discussing our fondest memories of
wish it was a
Scrolls.
wasp.
Oh, it was. Alright. Hopefully it's out and away now.
No, I was saying I wish it was.
Okay.
Don't worry. It's not important. It's taken care of.
Alright then. Yeah, we were discussing the fondest memories of Scrolls. And do you have one or any couple of funny stories you'd like to share with us?
Oh yeah, I have loads honestly, but let me think. Okay, here's a good one. So this is back in 2014, about mid-year, and it was the ESL finals, and it was the ESL finals right before the second community scrolls were released. This is the one that came out with Oculus Cannon and Eternal Sword are the two important ones for this story. And we were sitting there, this is back when Pansy was casting them all, and we had a lot of people in, and we were kind of discussing which of the scrolls we thought was going to be the most powerful. We all came to the same consensus in that tournament that we all thought that Eternal Sword was going to be the one, the Order Scroll was going to be the one that really was just going to crush, it was going to be just a monstrous scroll. And we were all picking our favourites and who we wanted to win, And I think all but you signed, because I think you said, who did you say? I can't remember. I think you said Crestash maybe, and he ended up going on to win it, but everyone else basically said to Overlord, because Overlord had been just...
Chase.
Yeah, Chase. That was it. Overlord was just stomping ESL for ages. He was on fire. So all of us were like, oh, he's going to win. He has the best scroll, the best new scroll on his side, and there's no way he's going to lose. Well, this was a pretty poor prediction to make, because in the first round he went up against Holofoil, and at this point Holofoil wasn't... He was known, but he wasn't as known as he is now, right? For being a quality player, for being a good player that knows what he's doing. So we have this player that isn't necessarily a no-name, but someone that hadn't been seen at the really top end, that none of us had really pegged for being, yeah, he's going to go on and do really well in this tournament. Not because he isn't a good player, but we just hadn't seen much of him. And he comes out like shots firing. He just destroys the Overlord. He plays him into a trap twice with Oculus Cannon. And all of us that thought the Oculus Cannon was going to be crap shut up immediately, because he showed the full potential of that scroll, a scroll that we thought wasn't going to be very good or very useful, and he showed how it could just bully players into traps and into corners where they couldn't move and do anything. He didn't go on to win that tournament, but he took out a few real heavy hitters, and I think after that, he was definitely considered one of the top players, as I still think he's one of the top players. Guys still talk about this today. But, like, that
Just
moment...
like to say, I
that
called
moment...
it. I'm a god, that is all.
Yeah, you're a god. You predicted a lot that tournament. But that moment, for me, was the first moment when I was sitting down. This is before I was casting on a regular occasion, or I was running Brag and Brawl, or, you know, taking part in the Bunny Cup or anything like that. That was the first tournament that I really, when I saw it, and when I saw that play and how surprised I was. You know, I thought I knew this game. I thought I had seen enough of this game to be good at predicting it. And then this player comes out of nowhere and just destroys everyone with a card that we didn't think was going to be very good, with a faction we didn't think was very good at the time, and completely reshapes the meta. That's what made Scrolls so much fun, and that's why I really cared about the competitive scene of this game. And there are many stories like that, right? I can talk about SGO and all sorts, but that one really stands out to me as just a classic moment for Scrolls. And I hope you guys remember that, or at least you can kind of, you know, share a similar moment with me when it comes to the competitive scene of Scrolls, because that moment was awesome. Really, really cool.
Alright, well said indeed. And I think that now we're about to end this little stream. We're supposed to have the Overlord with us, but unfortunately he was a no-show. But I'll have a little bit of an after show with the Overlord when he pops up. So if you guys would like to just do some plugs, have any final words, feel free.
Well, I just went. So does someone else want to go? But I definitely want to say.
You can say so.
Okay. So. Alright, guys.
Beach version 2.0, get the music.
Listen, we're gonna real talk real quick, okay? We're gonna real talk. We're gonna kick it back to last time I real talked. Alright, enough of that. Listen, guys, for real, this game has been awesome. I really enjoyed the community, and I think you guys fucking rock, alright? I know that perhaps some of us haven't always seen eye to eye, and everyone's been a bit heated in the past about what was right for the game, but I hope we can all agree, you know, and we can all walk away from this going, you know, we had a really good time, and we gave it a good run in a very competitive market at a very competitive time. We did pretty well, alright? And I think our players, the players we have in our community, could probably take on anyone in any TCG, and we'll give them a run for their money, if not beat them, especially if it's someone like Hearthstone, alright?
So
remember,
like Hearthstone, no.
Remember that we are the master race, alright? This was the real game, and we stuck through it the full 2 years for the most of us.
Here.
You tell him.
Go get him, Billy.
And no matter what game you move on to, guys, I hope you have the same success you had in Scrolls. Alright, I'm done, I'm out. It's been a good run, lads.
Thank you so much.
Captain goes down with the ship, alright?
Someone can't onions in here or something?
Alright, Simone?
Plug Rats and Bunnies. It's still, if you want to join people from Scrolls community and play other games, because unscrolls actually, but other games as well, you can join us, and we have TeamSpeak stuff. Come join if you want to play other games, have fun. We like doing that kind of stuff. Mainly CS:GO and Dota, but other games, it's all fine. Terraria maybe in future, but you have to set up a server.
Yeah,
Remind
dude,
you.
Terraria, I really want to play Terraria. We had 8 people last time we played Terraria, and that was for 1.3, and 1.4 just got released, so I'm hoping to have more people show up for that. Like Simon said, R&B still recruiting. We're still playing, like on a very regular basis. We're still playing. We play every single day. At the moment, the main games we're playing is CS:GO, Dota 2.
Yeah, well,
and
CS:GO draw. That's our new game.
and the Dota 2 Reborn custom games right now is what we're playing. We're playing
looking
a lot
for a
of.
professional Dota Strikers team.
Yeah, we're professionally going into Dota Strikers right now. We're probably the best Dota Strikers team in the world. So if you're interested in any of that, guys, we are still open. Just get in contact with like Pansy or Simon. They're the 2 leaders. You know, give them a bell and you can come on. We have a team speak, like I said. We're always around. We're always open to new players. So just if you want to hang out with some people from the community, then just come and ask. Just come and ask.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, shout out to Scrolls, because everyone in Scrolls is awesome. Love you all.
Yep.
And how about you, Gareth? Any last words?
Keep playing Scrolls, enjoying Echoes. Any questions you have for the devs, post them on Reddit, or for me or Atmaz. Enjoy yourself. Bye.
All right. And that short and sweet. And that's going to be the end of this episode of Scrolls Talks. Not going to be the last one. I think I'm going to have another one.
Woohoo!
But we shall see. So thank you, everyone. I say they stream, I do, but change my mind. But thank you guys for coming out to the stream. Thank you, NRP. Thank you, Nananas. Thank you. Else. Hansi.
No?
Thank you. Yes. He was there. Thank you, Billy. Thank you, Superb Simone. And thank you, Gareth scrolling. And thank you everyone for tuning in, for watching this Scrolls Talks. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you too reminisced about your time in Scrolls, your fondest memories. And hopefully you got interested in some of the upcoming community events and tournaments. So with that, it's the end. Bye.
Bye. Bye.